I'll say this, and I said this even yesterday, is that when ever since I've come as an anthropologist, ever since I've come to the mobilities work, I almost always now find myself in a room with people who would never otherwise be in the same room together, because they're all using this kind of toolbox. And it's actually very fascinating, because otherwise I think as anthropologists we are a very interdisciplinary discipline, but we're actually remarkably conservative when it comes to our methodologies. So we like to think of ourselves as interdisciplinary, but when one moves out of these methodological silos, I would call them, I think it becomes very exciting. And I think the mobilities work really does that. And what is interesting is I think the utopia concept, which I found both provocative and troubling given where I work. But I think as a method, if we think of utopia as a method, I think that's actually very interesting to think about. Because as anthropologists, we only think of dystopias. But I think given the discussions yesterday, I think it really made me think about using it as a method to problematize urban life. I'm still thinking through it.
Yeah, I mean, we had a PhD discussion yesterday about it being a mobile method.
It's a mobile method.
It sparks critique. It makes an ontological experience of future possible, because you're kind of traveling in such a rich way into other worlds.
Right. Yeah, and in my own work, for example, yesterday I never thought of myself as thinking in terms of utopias, but when Richard actually sort of framed the larger project, it made me think that a lot of the things I am talking about actually have to do with urban utopias. But these are utopias,
also lived utopias,
and also that they're not always complete projects, and one can think of utopias, I think, in very different ways. In the things that I'm working on, you can the utopic is produced from the bottom up, and it never quite looks like something that was imagined by any particular group of social actors, but it still is about something. It says something about how people imagine futures. So that was actually very interesting for me to think about. I've never really thought about it in that way.
I'm really thrilled that it worked well. Yeah. I'm really sorry I couldn't be there.
No, not at all. Of course, he videotaped it. He says he's still having some. He might have to edit out some things because he wasn't sure how the camera actually worked. But it was fun. And then I managed to meet. I chatted a little bit with Kosamin and Satya last evening. We had a beer, and it was actually very interesting to see what they're working on. So you're